La Liga, Ansu Fati, Lionel Messi connection helps Barcelona beat Levante. Ansu Fati became the youngest player ever to score a brace in La Liga on Sunday by capitalizing on two brilliant Lionel Messi assists to give Barcelona a 2-1 victory over Levante. Fati, at 17 years and 94 days old, broke the previous record held by Juanmi Jimenez, who scored twice for Malaga against Real Zaragoza at 17 years and 115 days old in 2010. Messi teed up Fati's quick-fire double with a defense-splitting pass and then a trademark weaving run before Ruben Rochina scored Levat's goal in the 92nd minute, which really should have come sooner. Barca reduced the gap at the top to 3 points behind Real Madrid and begin to regain some rhythm under new coach Quique Setién after Thursday's 5-0 thumping of Leganés in the Copa del Rey. "We could have won 8-2 or 8-3, said Setién. "We lost a little control in the second half and conceded too much, but it was a good job from the team, yet Levante should have converted more of a handful of excellent chances in the second half, that suggested Barcelona's defensive problems and fragility when in the lead are far from solved." Leganés and Levante, who sit 18th and 13th respectively, offered a relatively straightforward route back to winning ways too for Barcelona, who were wobbling last weekend when they followed a last-gasp win over Segunda side Ibiza with a convincing defeat by Valencia. Setién, who replaced Ernesto Valverde as coach last month, found his methods questioned and there was evidence against Levante to suggest he may have decided to introduce his style of play more gradually. Barca played with more urgency and ambition, their dominance of possession sacrificed occasionally for riskier passes forward. Yet Levante also pressed high and left gaps to be exploited, despite the likes of Valencia and Granada enjoying more success against Setién's team by sitting deep and bursting out on the break. Fati has been one of the main beneficiaries of Setién's arrival. He exploded onto the scene at the start of the season but was used increasingly rarely by Valverde, who may have been wary of burdening the teenager with too much too soon. Instead, Setién has started Fati in all 5 of his games in charge so far, and this was the first time his faith has really been rewarded. "He is a boy who is emerging and has great potential," Setién said. Today he had a historic day for his goals and for helping the team. Messi's own excellent form also continues. He now has 9 goals and 4 assists in his last 10 league games. His first setup for Fati came from the center circle where he played a reverse pass through 3 Levante players that sent clear his teammate, who cut inside George Miramon and finished. Handful of opportunities less than 2 minutes later, Fati was in again. Levante lost the ball upfield and Gerard Piqué fired straight into Messi inside the right flank, midway inside the opposition's half. He drove into the penalty area and when he finally stopped by a cluster of Levante chasers, he slid left to Fati, who fired through the legs of Aitor Fernandez for a second. Nelson Semedo crashed a shot against the crossbar and then hopped over Tono only for Antoine Griezmann to tap wide at the front post. But Levante were more dangerous in the second half and could have taken a draw if they had been more clinical with a handful of opportunities. The best of them fell to Gonzalo Melero, who blazed over, and by the time Rochina's shot flew through one pair of legs and in off the hands of Marc-André ter Stegen, there were only 2 minutes remaining. There was time for one Levante attack and Sergio Busquets' weak header gave Rochina another chance, but he could not keep his shot down. Sevilla and Real Sociedad both lost ground in the race for Champions League qualification as Getafe beat Athletic Bilbao to climb to third. Real Sociedad lost 2-1 away at struggling Leganés while Sevilla were held to a 1-1 draw at home to Alaves. In between, Getafe had carved out a 2-0 victory away at Bilbao to put them in pole position behind Real Madrid and Barcelona. Jose Bordalás' team are now ahead of Sevilla on goal difference, while Real Sociedad are 5 points further back. Getafe missed out on fourth on the final day of last season, but they continue to prove their challenge was far from a one-off. Barcelona 2-1 Levante, landmark brace from Fati enough for shaky champions. Ansu Fati scored twice as Barcelona beat Levante to move 3 points behind Real Madrid, while Lionel Messi also impressed. Lionel Messi and Ansu Fati led the way for Barcelona as Quique Setién's men did just enough to claim a 2-1 win over Levante at Camp Nou on Sunday, moving it back to within 3 points of leader Real Madrid. After a remarkable breakthrough at the start of the season, Fati had recently come in for criticism amid some underwhelming displays, but he showed just how effective he can be as Messi carved open the Levante defense. Fati took his top-flight tally to 4 with a pair of strikes separated by just 102 seconds in the first half, profiting from the brilliance of Messi on both occasions to become the youngest player to score a La Liga brace this century. Levante offered a lot more from an attacking perspective after the break and deservedly pulled one back through Barca Academy product Ruben Rochina in stoppage time, but Fati's efforts had put the game beyond the visitor, despite a hat-trick ultimately eluding the 17-year-old. After easing its way into the contest, Barca crafted a flurry of chances after the 13th minute, Messi shooting agonizingly wide and then testing Aitor Fernandez, before Antoine Griezmann prodded just off target. Levante was eventually breached after half an hour as Messi fed Fati with an exquisite through ball and the teenager clinically slotted home. The same pair combined again less than 2 minutes later, Fati this time firing through the legs of the unconvincing Fernandes. The lead should have been extended before half-time, but Nelson Semedo hit the crossbar and Griezmann inexplicably missed from inside the 6-yard box. Barca was fortunate to not concede early in the second half, José Luis Morales galloping through on goal and seeing his effort saved by Marc-André ter Stegen, with Rochina hopelessly blazing the rebound over. Fati was not far off getting a third in the 73rd minute when his overhead kick went just past the left-hand post, while Levante finally got on the score sheet soon after wasting 2 fine chances, Rochina's strike hitting ter Stegen and going in. What does it mean? A welcome win, but defensive concerns remain. Barca was abysmal in its previous La Liga match, the 2-0 defeat at Valencia that preceded the Copa del Rey demolition of Leganés. In Mestalla it left a lot to be desired at the back, and again it failed to keep a clean sheet on Sunday, with those concerns still prominent. Levante could, and arguably should, have had more than one goal to show for its efforts. Fati gets a timely boost. It would be unfair to be too harsh on a teenager, particularly considering he is obviously talented, but Fati's impact of late had been minimal. On Sunday, however, he was lively, intelligent with his movement and a creative outlet, providing 3 key passes on top of his 2 goals. Griezmann is no Suarez. Luis Suarez was always going to be tricky to replace, even for Griezmann. There were hints of promise in the first half as the Frenchman got into some good positions, but he wasted one particularly good opportunity. None of his 3 shots was on target and he did not create any chances either. Suarez is often productive on both fronts. What's next? Barca returns to Copa del Rey action on Thursday at Athletic Bilbao, before heading to Seville to face Sission's former club Real Betis in La Liga 3 days later. Levante hosts Leganés on Saturday. Ansu Fati creates La Liga history to make light of Barcelona striker shortage. Antoine Griezmann said he can do it. Quick Setien thinks Ousmane Dembélé can do it. But is Ansu Fati best placed to fill in for Luis Suarez at Barcelona? The 17-year-old was one of Ernesto Valverde's final plus points for the club, the former head coach handing a chance to the youngster that has allowed him to go from La Masia hopeful to Lionel Messi strike partner in a matter of months. With Suarez not expected to return until the season is pretty much over, Barca were expected to sign a number 9 in the transfer window. The fact that they didn't is something the board will have to explain, but another time. Sunday's win over Levante was all about Ansu. Griezmann might have been deployed as the centre forward, but Fati was the most threatening player on the pitch. Records tend to fall every few weeks in this player's life. Barca's second youngest La Liga player, youngest league goal scorer, youngest Champions League player, youngest Champions League goal scorer, and youngest to score an assist in the same La Liga match. Now, he has another. At 17 years and 94 days old, he is the youngest player to score 2 goals in a single La Liga match in the competition's history. More importantly for Barca, this was no fun-filled cameo with the team cruising to victory. This was a match-winning performance, a double to secure a 2-1 win that could have been more comfortable had others shown Fati's clinical touch. Only Messi managed more shots, 10, and more efforts on target, 6, than Fati, 5 and 2. Barca's captain was also the only player to better Fati for chances created, 7, compared to 3. It should come as no surprise that Messi set up both goals, the first with a particularly sumptuous through ball. Perhaps more impressively, no Barca player made more tackles than Fati, 4, with Gerard Piqué closest on 2. That paints a picture of an attacking player not afraid to shirk responsibilities when it comes to pressing defenders and helping Barca sustain pressure in the opposition half. Of course, no amount of hard work from a forward will excuse a failure to stick the ball between the white posts, but that is a quality Fati has never lacked. His first goal showcased his lightning pace but also a surprising level of strength, as he shoved away his marker before composedly slotting beneath goalkeeper Aitor Fernandes with his right foot. His second underlined what he makes him such a threat: unpredictability. Messi played the ball into feed this time, and Fati shifted to his left before drilling in a low shot through Aitor, who could have done better. The ability to score with either foot with ease keeps defenders wary and makes it significantly harder for opposition teams to prepare containment plans. A determined work ethic lets centre-backs know they will never be given a moment's peace when this forward is on the pitch. A good understanding with Messi is a pretty useful bonus. Suarez has all these qualities, it seems Fati does, too. Maybe Barca didn't need a new striker after all. Barcelona prodigy Fati breaks La Liga record in stunning first-half performance. Barcelona starlet Ansu Fati has become the youngest player to score a brace in La Liga with his 2 goals in the first half of the 2-0 victory against Levante on Sunday. Fati, aged 17 years and 94 days, struck in the 30th and 31st minutes at Camp Nou to surpass the record set by Real Zaragoza's Juanmi Jimenez in 2010, who was 17 years and 115 days at the time. The Guinea-Bissau-born attacker started the match in a three-man attack with Lionel Messi and Antoine Griezmann but proved to be the most lethal of the trio in front of goal across the opening 45 minutes. With 30 minutes on the clock, Messi played a wonderful defense splitting through ball to set Fati through on goal, and the teenager took one touch to shrug off the defender before slotting home the opener. Seconds after the restart, Fati again received the pass from Messi, before drilling a low shot into the net at the near post to become the league's youngest ever brace scorer. Fati was delighted to again be on the Barca scoresheet once again but didn't want too much emphasis on the record he broke. "It's a dream. I always dreamed about this and it has been fulfilled," Fati told reporters post-match. "Thank you all for this opportunity. They just told me about the record, but hey, I have nothing to say, to keep improving and take every opportunity. My teammates make everything easier from day one and I'm grateful to each one. It's not easy for them to behave so well and I'm very grateful." Fati made his debut for the Blaugrana this season as a 16-year-old and became the club's youngest ever goalscorer, and the third youngest in La Liga, with his strike in the 2-2 draw against Osasuna in August. The Spanish under-21 international also became the youngest ever goalscorer in the Champions League with the winner against Inter at the San Siro in December. Fati has made 19 appearances for Barca so far this season, scoring 5 goals and getting 1 assist. Barca's manager Quique Setién might have to play Fati more in the second half of the season because of the long-term injury to Luis Suarez. The Spanish tactician hinted the teenager could get exposed to more game time after the Catalans' Copa del Rey win against Ibiza.